Folks, we are live with episode 11 of Everything Pro Wrestling. Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans for the fans. I am your host, ConradKushman, and with me tonight, my friend and your friend, Doc G of PM Dawn.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Nothing much here, and we're going to kick this show right off with Monday Night Raw. Oh, my goodness. Where do we begin? Well, let's start it off okay. We started off with a Stephanie McMahon and Roman Reigns promo. Wasn't too bad. I like the fact that Roman came out, showed that he was a stronger character now, and that he wasn't putting up with any of the garbage that Stephanie was going to offer, and he blocked the hated by me Stephanie McMahon slap. What did you think of the segment overall, Greg?
Um, I'm trying not to be a hater. I just, this is the worst setup or segue into a WrestleMania in the history of World Wrestling Entertainment. I'm just, I'm burnt out off it. I'm sorry, I'm being honest. I'm burnt out. I feel like it's like being a Nick fan. Oh, wait a minute, I am a Nick fan. It's like that. It's,
No words, man. There's just no words for how you feel about it. And like I said, everyone's going to
there,
see in the beginning it's not so bad. Because after that segment, we get into what I thought was match of the night. Great match. Kevin Owens defeating AJ Styles. I have match of the night next to this. Great match. Lots of cool spots in it. I highly recommend it if anyone hasn't seen that match. That's the only thing you really need to go back and watch. Um, Good match minus the Jericho interference, but you kind of expected that for what WrestleMania is becoming. Thoughts on that match, Greg?
I thought the match was great. I'm not going to use the word phenomenal because that's already an overused word in on WWE Raw right now. Um, I just felt like they should have let the boys go and he should just move past Jericho. I mean, I could have even tolerated an AJ versus KO versus Sammy, triple threat. And I'm just, I just feel like I have to agree with Stone Cold. It's just not fun watching Chris Irvine do his thing anymore. He's he's obviously just there until Fozzy starts touring, and I just can't get behind Jericho as a heel or a face the way I could even 5 years ago.
Yeah, Jericho is he felt like he lost a step. I mean, he's still really good in the ring. I don't know how to put it. I think it's that we know what Jericho's there for now. I think he's just become we know why you're here. You're here to put someone over. Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
And,
pretty
and
much.
if he beats somebody, they say he's burying talent though. And I felt bad for him when someone tweeted him about that, but
Yeah.
We get into the next segment. Owens is talking KO Mania, and Ziggler, Miz, and Zayn all come out saying how they deserve to be the number one contenders for an Intercontinental title match. Owens alludes to the fact that, all right, we're going to set up a triple threat match to determine who's number one contender tonight. Voila. Done. And then you go to a segment with Dean Ambrose is in a bar. I think it was a bar. Maybe it was a tavern because it's PG. I don't know. He was in a bar though, down in it looked like Texas possibly, and he runs into Terry Funk, and for WWF fans, that's Chainsaw Charlie,
Yeah.
and they have a nice little exchange back and forth with Dean Ambrose getting the present of a chainsaw given to him this week. Um, Greg, let me ask you this: do you like the whole interaction with Dean Ambrose and the legends, basically giving him the advice for what to do against Brock?
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. If maybe we could have did without the whole chainsaw thing, but I get what they're trying to do, but they don't even have to do it. I mean, fine. If you want to have them come up there and talk to them or whatever, that's fine. But, eh, I mean, for nostalgia, you want to break out the chainsaw, that's fine. But I just hope they don't use Al Snow next, because you know what the big inside joke is going to be.
Yeah, I think we've all seen the meme floating around already with
Yeah,
Al
we're trying to get sponsors. We're not going we're not going there. But I'll tell you, man, I'm I'm not a fan of the over theatrics in any league of wrestling. I just want them to get to it. It's I didn't like Chainsaw Charlie. I like Terry Funk. You know what I mean? You know, I would have rather him talked about pile driving Ric Flair through an announcing table. I mean, that was pioneering work, and that would have been better than the stupid chainsaw thing with the table. I mean, we all know he's not going to use a chainsaw on Brock Lesnar, so I'm like, why do it?
I think they were all. I think they were running off the fact of the whole Terry Funk's middle-aged and crazy thing. That was JR's famous line for him. Was Terry
Mm.
Funk? He's middle-aged and crazy, and I think that's why they had him like blabbering on about stuff at points. And I was just like, okay. So interesting to see where they're going with this. We'll see what happens next week with Dean Ambrose. That was a pretty good segment, I thought. Owens gets the triple threat made for the number one contendership with Stephanie. I like the fact that they had to say, like, well, Owens had to go to the authority to make sure that this was cool, even though he said it first. All right, whatever.
Mm.
Nice logic thing they tried to put in there, which you could still argue that it wasn't logical at the same time, but whatever. We get New Day starts ribbing
Especially the
on.
buttering.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I said especially the buttering up of the say hi to Hunter from me stuff.
Oh yeah, because they're friends, of course.
Yeah.
And you get to the New Day, who basically ribbed on the League of Nations. I guess League of Nations talked crap about them too, but I didn't hear any of it. But New Day was destroying them, I felt, on the microphone. They called them trash. They talked about someone being, I can't remember, Wade Barrett, I think, bringing shame to King of the Ring. And then they said, shame, 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 shame. And then I think it was Xavier who said, shame us. And I was like, your parents named you.
Yeah.
You already knew what you were going to do. And I was like, oh, man, this is getting real bad for this guy. I don't know how I feel about this match. And you get into the match. Big E defeats Rusev. I think Big E's the one they're going to push out of New Day right now. It seems like that's their favorite guy. And Big E and Kofi are the main tag team. So I don't know how I feel, though, about this feud. I still would rather see that TLC match with the Usos, Dudleys, and everyone else. I don't know why we're getting this match now. Just seems odd.
Well,
I don't know. Any thoughts on the League of Nations or New Day?
Well, let me see. What I would personally do is I think the best thing to do if you're talking about making an impact and doing something that's never been done before, the best thing to do is them versus the Wyatts. It's the most realistic thing, because if you're going to be trying to make them a heel and you want to make the Wyatts appear to be villains, then the right thing to do is to have them lose the numbers game. It's something that's refreshing that has not ever happened to them before. Even with the League of Nations, the cornballs, Wyatt family is taken more seriously than like the end of the Super Friends. And that's what I just don't believe in at all.
I like it. Actually, the Wyatt family's in the next segment, and the Wyatt family did talk about new beginnings, because I'm wondering what are they actually doing with the Wyatt family for WrestleMania. They're not really booked in anything, but I have a feeling they're going to get involved in something, but I don't know what yet. They're just in that floating kind of position, and I'm like, something's going to happen, but I don't know what. I think things will get pretty interesting after the fact. Nothing too much there. And then you got the Big Show cutting a promo on the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He won it last year. He said Andre's the greatest giant, even though he believes he is, which I was like, why would you say that? It's kind of like rap music, I feel. Like, no matter who you are, whether you're Lil Wayne or yourself or someone, you have to think you're the best still when you're out there doing it, because people want to believe that in you. And I don't think that you should acknowledge, like, hey, this guy's better than me, but I still think I'm the best, but I know he's better than me.
Well, it kind of came off like Joe Budden's whining about the Vibe article a couple of years ago. I don't know. I just feel like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal shouldn't be his focus. What is he going to do if he's going to win it and then they're going to walk around for the rest of the next year saying he's a two-time Andre the Giant Battle Royaler winner? I'm like, what are they going to say? It just seems like I wish Patrice was still alive, man. I wish Patrice was still alive. That's all I could say, man. I wish my man Lenny was still in the mix writing. I wish my homeboys were still behind the scenes doing their thing and making it great. I'm like, at this juncture, I would love to see Russo come back in the mix, or if even though it's in the tank, keep Heyman off the mic and let him run creative, and then we really see something amazing.
I would love for Paul Heyman to run it personally. I think Heyman knows how to get stuff out of guys that no one else can get. He gets into that sick, I don't know, he can get into your mind that's like sick and twisted stuff that you would tell no one. And Paul Heyman gets it out of you. He's like, you're going to cut a promo about that tonight. Okay. And I don't know how he does it, but he didn't even pay his guys and they showed up every week. That's someone who I want in creative. I think creative has not been the same since Stephanie took it over. And that's no disrespect to Stephanie. It's just things haven't been the same and things haven't been right since then. They've never juggled anything around and they think this is all okay is my main issue with it. And let me finish the segment here. Big Show comes out, talks about the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Social Outcast comes out to trash talk with him, and Kane comes out. It turns into a big hoopla fight amongst all of them. Big Show and Kane look like they team up. Kane chokeslams him off. We've seen it before. It's just old news. I mean, I love Kane. Don't get me wrong, but it's done, man. It's done. I got
the autograph. I got the photo on my Instagram. I'll love him forever, but you know what? I don't want to see X-Men 17. You know what I mean? And I don't want to see this again. It's just a waste of time at this point. And I never thought I would say this. I mean, it was a sedative, man. Raw, to me, was a sedative. It's like, are you having trouble sleeping? Have you tried Monday Night Raw? I mean, it's just not. I can't even get my kids to watch it with me anymore. It's just, even they go, you know what, Pop, we're just gonna, play the supercard game instead.
I don't know, man. They're killing their own audience with this 3 hours. I don't think they're thinking long term about it. And if anyone in corporate is listening to this, or if you ever send them this video, tell them to fast forward to this part. 3 hour Raws are bad. I spend more time Googling stuff. I'm on my phone. I don't pay attention to the show as much as I did when it was 2 hours. 2 hours, you got me glued to that television. I'm watching the product. Whatever's being marketed towards me, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. I remember from the 90s, the AutoZone commercials and stuff. I couldn't tell you what the commercials are anymore today. Like, it doesn't really work. Like, it's just not working anymore. They used to have.
You are telling them our age. You are telling them our age right now. You didn't have to go there with the AutoZone.
Hey, I gotta be honest. And you have the same thing with I lost my train of thought now where I was going. They used to market the Skittles with JR. Different things like that. Remember when they used to have it where the commercials were on the outside of the matches? That was very intelligent, like, setting up of the show. I used to love that. Like, I knew there was going to be no commercial in the match. And then afterwards, okay, segment goes to commercial. And I was like, oh, man, I can't wait. All right, what match is coming up next? Versus, oh, all right, so they come back to this. What did I miss? And then they show you all the stuff you missed. You missed half the good stuff. What the heck am I watching this for? Makes no sense to me.
Don't forget the title matches that were brought to you by Stacker 2, the fat burner. That was amazing.
Let's see here. We got WWE Hall of Fame. First, I have to mention Miss Jackie, Miss Texas from last week. I'm so sorry I did not mention her. Legendary diva, nothing but all the respect in the world. She actually is part of the reason why that Divas division got rebuilt, because she was the one willing to do the work with Sable. She did an excellent job, and Jackie definitely held it down like she was supposed to. Nothing but respect. But this week's Hall of Fame person that went in was Stan Hansen. And that is a big, mean, messed up man who, I can tell you two things I will always remember about this man. That nasty chewing tobacco when I would watch NWA or WCW on TBS coming down his chest with this dude with the cowboy hat yelling. And then you also had when he knocked Vader's eye out. That's probably the most disgusting thing I think I've seen in wrestling, where Vader's eye popped out and he pushes it back in. Just, ugh.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, YouTube it if you do. Brace yourself, though. It's not a good thing. But the Hall of Fame class is shaping up nicely. We got Stan Hansen. We have Jacqueline, Sting, Big Boss Man, the Fabulous Freebirds, and The Godfather. Different class, like a bunch of weird combinations of people, but I kind of like it. I'm digging it. All people who deserve to definitely be in, I feel.
I got to ask you, who is going to induct the Freebirds? Because I was hoping it would be the New Day.
I don't know who's going to do it. I would expect one of the Von Erichs, possibly. That would be my guess.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It's going to be... You're right. I think it's going to be Kevin. You just refreshed my memory. I think Kevin Von Erich. Or at least they're trying to get Kevin.
Yeah, they haven't announced who's inducting any of the people. Like, if I had to guess everything right now, if I had to guess who was putting in... Let me see here.
Flair's going to do Sting, I heard.
Obviously. I think that's the best choice. Then you would have to go with Godfather. Who would put him in? I would say Undertaker, because most people don't know. Godfather is one of those people that everyone I heard was like, oh, no, he shouldn't be in. But I think Godfather definitely should be in. He's one of the most loyal.
He's one of the longest tenured. Yeah. I mean, and talk about reinventing. He is the pioneer of reinventing himself. Paved the way for Glenn Jacobs to do it.
Papa Shango.
Yeah.
The Supreme Fighting Machine, Kama Mustafa. The Godfather. The Good Father. But Godfather, these guys, there could be so many people to induct these guys. Boss Man, I don't know if they're going to have a family member do it or if maybe they'll have the Mountie come back to do it. There's a lot of people you could go with for that stuff.
You know.
No, go ahead, Greg.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking, when it comes to the Boss Man, how about
Akeem?
See, I was going to say Reverend Slick, but you're right.
Either one of those two.
Yeah, or both together.
Akeem could come out to Jive Soul Bro, and then I'll have to hear the millions of people get upset about that. But I love that theme from when I was a kid.
That was just I just liked that rap song and Slick having the kids dance in the ring. That was hilarious to me as a child.
Oh, yes. Good memories. Unlike this Raw here. So Chris Jericho defeats Fandango. It brought back memories to me of WrestleMania 29, but not as hyped.
You mean what should have happened WrestleMania 29 that didn't?
Hey, listen. I was there live, and I will tell you this. That Fandango dancing stuff, that was happening in the crowd while I was there. I was like, there's something here.
Oh, it was. And then they tried to turn him into Enrique Iglesias with the girl. And then they changed the theme music. And I was just waiting for Enrique Iglesias to pop out with a microphone. You know, I'm like, I'm just done with it. I'm done with the both of them. I'm just tired of it. I don't know what it is, why they didn't. He was very funny when he yelled at people and trot around the ring with a microphone. That was funny. And then somewhere along the line, they killed him. Why, I don't know.
I think it was that injury, the concussion, that really hurt his push. He had something good going, and then it just didn't come to fruition because he got injured in this business. If you get hurt, sometimes they move on, and you got forgotten about because they gave the push to Curtis Axel. And he didn't do too well with that either.
Yeah, but how long is the WWE going to continue to be afraid of Billy Jack Haynes?
I don't know, man. We're going to have to wait it out and see. But we get a video package showing Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker, a lot of different stuff. Stuff we've seen on Superstar, SmackDown. Nothing too different. And then,
Yeah.
so Kevin Owens comes out to announce the triple threat competitors because he says he can do a better announcing job than anybody. Good heel move.
Yeah.
And out comes Stardust, Sin Cara, and Zack Ryder for the triple threat, which, like you alluded to before when we talked, that's just the scent of doom because you know right where WWE's going with this. They were heading down that bad path. And long story short, the match ends in a no contest, and all the drama begins. Ziggler, Sami Zayn, and Miz come out, and they say they should have been the number one contenders. They thought they were going to be in the match. Turns into a mess, and everyone brawls. Just craziness. And basically, long story short from this, it cuts to a commercial. Owens is backstage with Stephanie, and he complains. Stephanie's feeling unsafe. She wants to get out of there because of her beef with Roman earlier in the night. And what ends up happening is what we all thought. It was a multi-man ladder match, which I don't know why they did it like this. They had a good built-in feud, I felt, with Zayn and Owens where it didn't need this in the match, but
Right.
we'll have to just see what happens with it. I think it's the new WrestleMania tradition that we're going to see a ladder match for the Intercontinental title every year.
I'm like, if you're going to do a ladder match at every WrestleMania, then why do a TLC pay-per-view? I mean, it's...
Put Money in the Bank back in WrestleMania. I love that.
That would make more sense to put them all in a Money in the Bank. These guys fight for the IC strap.
Yeah. Just,
You know,
I don't know.
What if they did that and then Tyler Breeze actually won the Money in the Bank? That would shock.
There you go thinking again. I was at a live event, and I already knew Tyler was losing that match. I went to WWE in Buffalo. It was a great show. Anyone who hasn't been to a live event, highly recommend you check it out. Because when you're there live, you're having fun for the most part. But this was a snooze fest of a Raw, I felt. So Stephanie, like I said, was feeling uneasy about Roman and everything. So she calls her man, Triple H, come pick me up. I'm not dealing with this. Bring the limo. And Triple H comes around. He has it parked waiting for Stephanie. Well, Roman comes through. Roman's playing the role of Stone Cold, I guess, in this. And he opens the door and pulls Triple H out and starts beating on him. And they brawl for a second. Didn't get too deep into it. But what are you thinking of Roman Reigns and the people's reaction towards him right now, Doc?
I do believe that Roman Reigns is slightly mistreated. And I believe it's 50-50 on both sides.
Mistreated by whom?
The audience.
Okay.
The audience. And I also believe that WWE is doing him a disservice by making him keep the Shield gear on instead of giving him his own identity, even though he could be the Hound of Justice and everything, but you could change his clothes for God's sake. So, like, I mean, he's the leader of the Roman Empire, so put him in some, put him in the boots, the trunks with the bulletproof vest, tank top, or something. Just mix it up. You know what I mean? I mean,
everyone else had to.
Yeah, and that's what I think is missing. He still doesn't have his own identity, even though he is improving with the talking. He's less Shelton Benjamin and more of a slightly unrelaxed Randy Orton. He's better as a talker in this year than Randy was at that age.
Absolutely. I think people forget that it took Randy a while to get used to the main event level, which is why Triple H pulled him back besides his backstage antics. But they felt he might have not been ready for that spot because they forced that youngest champion on him because they were pissed off at The Rock, basically. They were upset that Rock didn't do what they wanted him to do, so they said, all right, we're going to make a new youngest champ, kind of like AJ Lee. They get in these little fits, and I'm like, why are you doing this just because you're mad at somebody? You don't mean it, so why are you doing it? So they get into their little brawl. We move on to the next segment. Charlotte defeats Natalya. I got nothing. I saw this match at the live event. Same match. Good stuff, I guess. Whatever. It was a solid match. Bubba Ray defeats R-Truth. And the Usos come out, beat up the Dudleys. Nothing too special there either.
I just feel like what's the purpose if the no belt is on the line? I mean, I think this would have more relevance if they let the Dudleys defeat the New Day for the straps. Now it's just some old guys that can't get over the hump against some young guys who can't get over the hump. That's how it feels to me.
Yeah, I would just love to see, like I said, it could be a 4-corner tag match. It could be something else different with all those teams involved. Just mix it up, man. You got 2 other guys who go in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Or you can say League of Nations, you can have your 4 guys on the corner. New Day can have their 3, and we'll have 2. You know what I mean? Or have Big Rikishi come out, be with his sons for one match or something, or one of their family members come out and take their spot, and maybe have Spike Dudley come back and be with the Dudleys for a night. Mix it up or do something different, man. They have a chance here, and they're just, I don't know, they're squandering it, I feel. Maybe there's a reason why, but
I thought Spike was coming back, but then they switched everything up. You know? And when they switched everything up, it threw me off. So, I mean, they brought the other guy back, Rhino, and then, you know, he had the loot so he could join the political race. So I'm like, what's the point? What's the point, man? I'm like, it goes back to what you said. It's like, let's just throw this guy in. Every time I turn it on now, I feel like that Hall & Oates song. You're out of touch. You know.
I love Hall & Oates for the record. Also, Vince McMahon announces to The Undertaker, or announces that if The Undertaker loses at WrestleMania, it will be his last WrestleMania. And I don't know how I feel about this. I'm going to let you just handle this one, because I don't know if I want to even address it, because I'm not a big fan of how they did this. What did you think of that move that they made for the stipulation?
I think the stipulation is garbage. It only makes sense if you don't botch his career and make him lose the streak to Brock Lesnar. Who cares if he doesn't wrestle anymore? He's already lost. So there's no relevance to the whole, it'll be your last. I got news for you, Vince and Mark. When you lost to Brock, that was your last.
I think they missed out on a big opportunity with that. And similar to what you said, I feel, how do I want to put this? I feel that Undertaker losing has messed this storyline up. Because let's imagine Undertaker never lost. He beat Brock, he beat Bray. Undertaker goes into WrestleMania undefeated. Most people don't even know because this hasn't been brought up. Shane McMahon is also undefeated at WrestleMania. Shane McMahon defeated X-Pac. He beat Vince McMahon. He also could say, I have a streak, too, that's on the line, if you didn't know that, Undertaker. And I think that's something they should still bring up, even though he's lost. He could be like, my record's better than yours at WrestleMania. My guys, I never lost. Something that they could use for it. But I don't like the fact that Undertaker is doing Vince McMahon's bidding. So let's just say he loses this match. What's to stop Undertaker from laying down, letting Shane pen him, making a big difference, and then, okay, Shane, hire me back.
Well, now you're on to something. Maybe it's something where, Shane, you promised me if I laid down, you would give me a shot at, you know, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It's a possibility, but you're assuming that creative has the brain power to do that, and we know that they don't.
I'm not going to blame creative fully, though, because I hear stories that it's Vince who, we're changing this, we're changing that, and I don't know if anyone has insight on the creative process. I know Mick Foley's son is an assistant now with the creative process, and I don't want to speculate and say, hey, you're not coming up with good ideas. Maybe they're getting shot down. Maybe they don't want to do them. I don't know what the problem is, but they do need to get more creative with everything.
Well, I'll tell you like this. I have zero faith in the product right now, and I'm scared because this is like, we're in a serious transitional period, and nobody knows what is going to happen with this next up-and-coming WrestleMania. It might be the WrestleMania that wakes them up. It might be it might take an epic fail, like not doing well at WrestleMania, in order to make these guys say, wow, we suck. We need to do a better job at what we're doing so that we don't get in any trouble anymore. Maybe this is what it'll take.
Yeah, hopefully, I want them to wake up from all of this, but it's up to the WWE to. There's no competition. And also, I forgot to mention, if you guys follow me on Twitter at ConradKushman, you would have seen that New York has just passed the MMA bill so that we can have fights now in New York. About time. You're a little bit late. I know I don't know too much. I'm just a guy who lives here, but I told you a long time ago that we should have had this. That's money that could be coming into the state for it.
Agreed. And if Dana White wasn't so selfish and wanted to pay the union workers in New York to do everything, it would have happened. So you can't really put it on New York. It was on Dana.
There was a bill sitting on there for a long time that they just never voted on. Nah, we didn't get around to it. I saw it. They were like, yeah, we'll get to it. And they never got to it. I'm like, is someone going to address this? And a bunch of people started complaining about it, which made them say, all right, we got to fix this problem that's going on in New York right now. These guys want an answer about this. What are we going to do? Because there's no reason to ban it. We're the only state that had it banned. Why? It made no sense to me.
Well, the Bloomberg era was all about fear what you don't understand anyway, you know?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you say it? So, I mean, and while some things he did make sense and other things he didn't make sense. So I could understand both sides of it, but it's here now, and who knows? Maybe 30 years from now, we'll talk about when somebody got clocked at the Garden and they crowned a new champ.
Or even the fact of, if you want a good time, watch them trying to pass the bill, and you hear like the comments about people, and they were like, oh yeah, UFC fighters are spouse abusers. And then someone wrote, yeah, just like baseball, football, soccer, should I continue on? And they were just going through everything. It is what it is.
Yeah. I remember back in the late 90s or 2000s, Scottie Pippen beats up girls, has a submachine gun or whatever it was in the back of the car, slap on the wrist, $200 fine. I'll never forget it. So, not to put Scottie Pippen out there.
We get to the main event of the show, Raw. I just want to end this segment. You get Braun Strowman defeating Dean Ambrose by disqualification because Dean Ambrose went off the deep end and grabbed a chair. He didn't use the baseball bat or the chainsaw he was given earlier. And I'm sorry, I said that was in Texas earlier. I'm sorry, it was Philadelphia. And he went and grabbed the chair and smashed him. And it was cool, the little image of him looking at Paul Heyman. And Heyman seems like he fears him a little bit, like, hey, this dude's off the deep end. And I think that they need to sell that when they promote this match at WrestleMania because it's going to be huge in identifying what happens to Dean Ambrose. I don't know if he should win it. Some people say he should win. But I think that you have to put Dean over in this match, win or lose. You have to make him look like a stronger competitor coming.
Well, I'll tell you like this. You have to make him look strong. I hate saying that because of that art of wrestling. You have to make him look strong. But you do. You have to make the guy look strong. And unfortunately, you have to appease the ego of Brock Lesnar. So my question is, I can't call it. So how do you call it when you know that it's about the future, but it also has to be realistic? I mean, he's been abusing the guy the whole time, and there's nothing that he could do about it. He's been abused. If not for the steel chair, Brock would be going to fight Triple H. We have to see that snoozer at WrestleMania again.
I think I think you can have it where Ambrose gets some near falls. He brings the fight to him after. And even if it's Lesnar shook his hand and didn't clock him after. Anything little like that would help him greatly in that match. Brock Lesnar is just the you can't waste it, man. You let him end the streak. So whoever beats this guy, it has to be a big deal. Like whoever beats him clean one-on-one, it's got to be a big deal when they do it.
See, and as a goofy nerd of a fan, my attitude is, okay, you let him do it. Why didn't you let CM Punk do it? And I know that's cheap and petty, but I can be cheap and petty sometimes.
And I think you brought up a great point earlier when we were talking about CM Punk basically being right about everything.
Yeah.
Everything has come to fruition that Punk brought up, and it's just odd that we're still dealing with those problems. And he knew they were coming. He basically called WWE out for it, and hopefully they get their act together and fix those issues because he's now
Yeah.
in the UFC.
And you know something? I hope win or loss, he wins because he did what he wanted. And you can't. It's like the actor who played Dr. Dre said in the Straight Outta Compton movie when Suge said, "I got all his money." He said, "You can have it. You can't put a price on peace. You can't." And he is at peace. He got one of the most beautiful and most talented divas of all time. I mean, and that's on his elbow, supporting him. And you know, you can't ask for a better ending. I'm just glad when you think about the test of the world and other people that could have been great, and then they get depressed, and then they channel it and then handle it another way, and then they end up, you know, a permanent nap on a couch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that he, you know, he's not gonna forget how to drive home. You know, he's gonna be okay.
Yeah, CM Punk is definitely one of those guys who he did it his way. Nothing but respect for how he did it, and I'm rooting for him in the UFC, whether he wins or loses. I mean, the guy came from wrestling, can't really be too upset with him. Hopefully, he shows up at I think he's at UFC 200, so thumbs up to
Yeah.
that. I'll move on to the next segment. Overall, I'm going to run through the WrestleMania card, Greg, and I want your thoughts
Okay.
on the overall card. Is this something you're hyped for? Would you have paid $45 for this? So let's go through it if this was before the network era. So you have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Everyone who's not injured or not on the card is going to be thrown in there. Looks like we're going to have a Divas match with Natalya, Paige, Alicia Fox, and Brie Bella versus Lana, Tamina, Naomi, and probably one more Diva, which I guess it may be Summer Rae or somebody.
Okay.
You have the Usos versus the Dudley Boys in a straight-up tag match. You have the U.S. Champion Kalisto versus Ryback. IC ladder match, Kevin Owens, Sin Cara, Zack Ryder, who got that spot for Neville's spot in it, I guess, Stardust, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, and The Miz. Okay. Tag titles, New Day versus League of Nations. So all three members of the New Day will face all four members of the League of Nations. You have Charlotte, the Divas Champion, versus Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose in a street fight. You have The Undertaker versus Shane McMahon in a Hell in a Cell. Raw's on the line for Shane McMahon if he wins, and Undertaker's career is on the line if he loses. And you also have WWE Championship match, Triple H defending his belt against Roman Reigns. That is your card. What are you thinking when you hear all of that put together?
I'm thinking like, see, we can't use curse words on the podcast, so what I'm gonna say is cluster, beep, cluster, beep, like electric company. It's excruciating and it's bad. You know, I'm disappointed. I'm glad I only paid $9.99 to see it, and it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
got The Rock.
You
He
know
can't
that
wrestle.
it would be a lot more worse if it was on pay-per-view, I think. I don't think this would do great buy rates for it. They wanted to fill that arena even, and I don't think that they will.
No.
It's not looking too good. I mean, yeah, that card's just a hard pill to swallow, and I'll give them the benefit of the injuries and stuff. They do have a lot of good guys that I like out right now, so we'll see how things switch up. I just want a more diverse main event, and I want everyone to have something to do. Like, I want to care about even the undercard matches. Go back to the Attitude Era. Taka Michinoku had a job and something to do. Like, I knew what his gimmick was. He came out every week. I get it. That was one of the better things about Russo that most people forget.
Well, I'll tell you like this, man. it's going to be a very, very sad WrestleMania. I don't know how they're going to save it. I feel like the WrestleMania is going to end the way the Royal Rumble did 2 years ago.
Ooh, you think it's that bad? That was bad.
Yeah, yeah.
What if?
That's
Let me
what's
ask
going
you
to happen.
this question from last year. I'm gonna ask you two questions real quick. WrestleMania 31, was it good or bad to you? Did you enjoy it?
Did I enjoy WrestleMania 31? The one where Seth Rollins ran down and
Yeah,
stole it?
Rollins cashed in, Sting versus Triple H. I'm talking the whole thing. Big Show wins the Memorial Battle Royal. Orton
You know
RKO's
what?
Rollins.
You know what? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed spots.
Because I
I
felt the
thought
build
it
to
was,
that one sucked, too.
well, somewhat. I'll tell you what I didn't like. I didn't like the way they distorted the Stinger's voice. You know what I mean? When he first came out and he was talking in the vignettes and they distorted his voice, and then you
Yeah.
hear his voice afterwards and it's like, so younger people were coming up to me and like, yo, what's up with that guy? What's wrong with him? Like, where does voice go? Because kids don't understand that they're doing some weird altering, and it felt very much like the way they botched the whole DDP Undertaker thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't, it kind of brought me back to the 90s when she started, and then you hear the New World Order music. So I was pretty much excited about that. Even though it was cheesy, I could take that cheese and put some ham and some Miracle Whip and enjoy it. Then when Shawn Michaels kicked him in the mouth, I was like, oh, God, he's going to lose. And I wanted him to win. He needed to win. And it was like, and that's when I said I have to agree with Roddy Piper. God bless his soul. And I thought the Bray Wyatt Undertaker thing was ruined because that was the guy that he should have lost the streak to.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, and that's where he messed it up. It should have been something where, like, let's say Brock beat the crap out of him. Let's say he broke his arm or something after he beat Brock at 30. And then it's like what happened when he fought Triple H for the second time, and he was messed up and hurt all year because of it. And then you let something like that happen.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But my whole take on it is, they had a shot at doing something great. If you're going to try to make this guy the Undertaker, then okay, then that's the guy who beats him, not the guy that doesn't want to work every couple of months, That's not the guy you lose that to.
All right. I'm going to give you one more question. Just which one's better? WrestleMania 30 or WrestleMania 31? This was the big debate after WrestleMania last year at the party I went to. Which one was better, 30 or 31?
Oh, boy. 30 or 31? If you're really going to do
winning
that,
the Battle Royal, Bryan winning the belts.
as cool as it was for the Money in the Bank to be violated, like the championship main event to be violated by the Money in the Bank winner, 30 was just so amazing because you were so emotionally vested in Daniel Bryan. I mean, my son couldn't even talk, but he knew how to go, yes, yes, yes. You were emotionally vested in the Daniel Bryan thing. You were emotionally vested. I mean, I thought that Undertaker was going to demolish Brock Lesnar when he stabbed him in the hand with the pin and then choke slammed him through the table at the There's nothing anywhere near coming to that. And then what is it? And look at it the year after. All we got was, I am not dead. You will rest in peace. I mean, I thought he was laughing hysterically behind the scenes, like, and you got, and then Bray Wyatt. I keep saying to people, he's not scary. He's cool.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to know what you thought. I thought the same thing. I picked 30 over that one. And real quick, Sting, I'm glad to hear Sting might not be retiring. I don't know if he'll be ever back in the ring again. I don't want to get into it. I'll save it for another week because I want to wait and see what Sting says himself. But prayers to Sting. Hopefully he's all right. We're going to switch gears for once, and we're going back to some Impact Wrestling because I never talk about that. Sometimes I get a little hate for it. We got Eric Young and Bobby Roode leaving TNA, two long-term employees who were there since the beginning. I want to say since 2004. Well, they were like the first permanent ones that stuck around for there. I got some questions for you. Does TNA have bad morale, and will TNA survive?
No. First of all, everybody acts like Eric Young is this, he's the guy that they put the strap on because he wore a fuzzy beard and looked like Daniel Bryan. So they said, if we strap on him, maybe they'll love our little beard guy like they love theirs. And Bobby Roode, I'm like, I didn't like the whole new wave neo Ted DiBiase crap where he's got the money, then all of a sudden he changes the look, and then it's he's running around going beer money, and I'm just sick of it, man. It's like the worst impersonation of Mid-South wrestling ever, and nobody ever has a brain that runs it. I feel like TNA's creative is the land of misfit toys.
I'm a big fan of Bobby Roode. Eric Young, he's a very nice guy. I've met him before. Take him or leave him. I think Eric Young could be doing something else besides wrestling. He had that show on Discovery Channel, I believe. Did a good job with it. Maybe he could do something like that. Bobby Roode, I feel, is a very underappreciated talent. He reminds me a lot of Triple H, where I don't think he could be your top guy, but I think he could be your top heel if you wanted him to be. And Bobby Roode's got a lot of talent. I don't know how they can reinvent him in WWE or if they'll even take him. Maybe he could be on NXT and help that brand.
Well, why have two Dolph Zigglers?
Ooh, harsh.
No, I'm like, look, he's an everything guy. And they're not going to know what to do with him, and he's going to be one of those dudes that comes out with the music and everything and then gets beat, no matter how spectacular his matches are. That's what they do to him.
And let me ask you this. TNA. Now, I don't know if you read the rumors about them looking for someone to buy into the company, but is there one person who could save TNA? Would you feel confident in one person saying, I'm going to buy TNA, I'm taking it over from Dixie, give us a chance again? Is there someone who you would be like, all right, I'm behind that guy, and they have enough money to make this work?
Okay. I'll give you one person, but I know he won't do it. But I think he would make it work. Quentin Tarantino.
That would be interesting. I wonder how his take on wrestling would be. And is he a wrestling fan? I don't know if he is.
I don't know, but I would look forward to the From Dusk Till Dawn pay-per-view. I would.
It would definitely be like I think he would book it more like a Lucha Underground style, too, with the movie cinema more.
I just feel like that's the type of writing that's missing from both shows.
They have to understand when they look at shows like, I've said this a million times on here, and I sound like a beaten down drum with a hole in it. You have Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad, Getting Away with Murder. Plenty of great shows to watch on television with plots and twists and turns, ways to fool you. Oh, it was this guy, not this guy, and they mess with you. And wrestling doesn't have that. They don't have what they need to make this successful. You know what I mean? Like, they're not doing that. They're kind of booking the old way, and I'm like, nah, these people need something more to tease their minds, you know? And fans are smarter now. It's not like it used to be. You could definitely do more. Just my thoughts on it.
Well, I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, man.
Go ahead.
When you talk about it, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
No, go ahead.
When I talk about the way that they're booking everything now, it's the equivalent to, kids are smarter nowadays.
I can't scare my kids with Jason movies. They go, hey, he cut his neck and fake blood just flew all over the place. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're not scared? No, this is hilarious. I'm like, you're insulting their intelligence. And that's how it is with, professional wrestling right now. It's like you're just insulting their intelligence. A lot of these guys couldn't be created now. You couldn't do a Chainsaw Charlie now or a Shango. I mean, just not to be mean. I don't even know, and this might be a little blasphemous, but if the Ultimate Warrior was brand new, do you think they would love him in 2016 as a new character?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just
wrestling is different today because I feel Great Khali, great person. Problem with Khali, if you've ever seen Longest Yard, you know who I'm talking about. He's the real tall Indian dude for people who don't watch wrestling every week. Great Khali, great person. You know why he gets booed in the ring every week? He can't work. Fans want you to be able to work. They want you to be able to do something entertaining and have a cool character for them to get behind. It all has to line up for this to work. Even as a big guy, you got it. Big Show is respectable because
right.
Things that you're like, oh, that's impressive. All right, I respect it. That's the problem with a lot of stuff with today. Let's get into the next subject because I really want your opinion on this. Hulk Hogan. I can't believe I've avoided talking about this because I'm Mr. Professional. It's got to be right. Hulk Hogan wins his lawsuit against Gawker. He was awarded $115 million, and I believe today or yesterday he was awarded $25 million in punitive damages. And I believe CEO Nick Dayton, Deaton, is going to have to put up $10 million from the article I read today, which gives Hulk Hogan $150 million. I don't think he's going to see all that money because I don't think Gawker has that much money, but that's what they are supposedly going to pay Hogan. What do you think overall of this situation? Can Hogan recover from this, and will he ever be back in WWE now that this is all settled?
All right. I don't want to sound like R. Kelly at the beginning of Bump and Grind, so I'll give you a reverse. My mind's telling me yeah, but the rest of me is telling me hell no. He's not coming back. They're a publicly traded company. I don't know if he could come back from this type of thing. And even though he won, that is money that he can take and just disappear. And, look, my childhood is forever tarnished. That will never change, And, hey, like we said before, look, you could forgive anything, right? You can forgive anything. The power of forgiveness is strong. I'm just not sure if it's Chuck strong. You know what I mean? I don't think that it's going to be something that you could just bounce back from like that.
I think Hogan should have handled it better in the media. I'm not like Mr. PR either, but I think Hogan's explanations for why he said those words were horrible. And I also feel bad for him in a way too because he was recorded without his knowledge, supposedly. I don't know what him and Bubba the Love Sponge were doing. I'm not even going to get into that because I have my own speculations on what they were doing. But
yeah, a lot of Sons of Anarchy stuff going on.
Yeah, I think they were switching tag partners, we'll say. And I don't understand how Hogan would say something like that and think no one would ever repeat it or whatever. But Gawker cost this man a lot of money, his career. I knew he was going to win. Once I heard all the facts of the case, I said, you cost this man a lot of money. You slandered his name. You cost him his career by releasing that video. They knew what they were doing because they listened to the audio. And when Hogan didn't want to settle outside, they said, okay. Hogan brought it upon himself as well. So if we see Hogan back in the WWE, I'll be surprised. But Hogan said that was his end goal again, to be back with WWE because that's where home is. And I hope maybe one day that they can fix this and make everything right. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm with you though. Childhood tarnished makes no sense. And folks, we are down to 2 matches in the last segment here for my top 5 greatest WrestleMania matches. Once again, folks, these are in no order. I just put 5 matches out there. We have went through several of them. We went through the Dudley Boys TLC match with Edge and Christian and the Hardys from WrestleMania 17. We also reviewed Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle in a phenomenal match from WrestleMania 21. And last week we reviewed another phenomenal match. Check it out on episode 10. And this week we are going to talk about Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This match, I feel, forever changed pro wrestling. And a lot of you younger fans may not want to go out and watch that match, but this is coming from my era and Greg's era, and this is a good time back in 1987 to watch wrestling. The product was completely different, but if you are a historian of wrestling, you know how much this changed. You can talk to the Bill Afters, the Dave Meltzers, all those guys, Brian Alvarez, and ask them about this match. And they will tell you that this match forever changed pro wrestling. And I'll get into why later on. This match is known as the match that stole the show at WrestleMania 3. Everyone paid tickets to see Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan, but this is the match everyone left talking about. Greg, what are your thoughts or memories on this match from seeing it in the past? No audio, sir. I don't know if you got cut off or what.
Forgive me.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry. I feel like this is the first time for me as a kid that I got to totally appreciate guys who weren't ginormous doing their thing. And I started to understand what my pop would tell me about how they tell the story. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that I think they went at it a couple of times, right?
Yes.
But didn't this all stem from Saturday night's main event where Macho Man leaped from the top rope and bashed a bell into his throat?
Yes.
Yeah, and I remember, the whole, I don't know if people could see me, but he was like, he was talking, he was choked out, and it was just, I really thought his esophagus was smashed. And it was like the coolest thing I'd ever saw in my life. Well, I know that, that's mean, but it was.
That's back when you thought everything was real.
I was just so fed up with like the whole, hey, your manager grabbed my foot and I couldn't kick out and I lost the IC championship. You know what I mean? It wasn't that, the Rick Rude and Ultimate Warrior crap. It was something that was good.
Yeah. And you know what? When you were talking about the story, do you know how far back the story even stems before that? It goes back to WrestleMania 2. Macho Man Randy Savage faced who? George the Animal Steele, who was in Ricky Steamboat's corner. So a year-long build between Macho Man and George the Animal Steele with the whole the animal obsessed with the beauty and the beast kind of thing, where the hairy-backed old man is obsessed with Miss Elizabeth, and that's Macho Man's girl, and he's going to protect her. But he's telling Elizabeth, hey, that's a bad guy, don't be with him. That's crazy to think that stories went on for a year back then versus how they are now. Just amazing.
Well, they succeeded in creating a year-long feud with John Cena and Rock in recent years. It wasn't the same magnitude, but nevertheless, they planted the seeds.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that storylines can learn from today. We get to the main part of the match here, and a lot of people don't know this. Macho Man Randy Savage is one of the greatest workers in the ring probably of all time for one of these reasons. Now, some people hated this that were wrestlers, and some people loved this. Macho Man Randy Savage planned every spot in that match, and for a year, him and Ricky Steamboat, he would quiz him on, hey, What's the spot after this? After the headlock, and then I crank it 3 times, and then the shoulder block. What's the next spot? And Macho Man had this all planned out in his head for what they were going to do and how it was going to work out. And it's so crazy to think that someone actually did that before how it is. Usually wrestlers call the match while they're in the ring, but not Macho Man. He wanted that perfect.
Well, Hogan even said on thing, Randy was a detail freak, and and he said that on a self-destruction DVD. He said he was a detail freak, so you knew that a Warrior match with Savage would be okay because Randy would teach him the timing.
Macho Man held it down, and the main takeaway from this match is that I don't want people to forget is the main goal is that this changed how wrestling matches were booked forever after this. And I don't know, a lot of people are probably like, what are you talking about? Go back and watch that match with all the near falls. That stuff didn't happen prior to that. And then I felt when you go back and watch a Saturday night's main event for the television title, whether it's Arn Anderson, Steve Austin, any of those guys versus Pillman, Steamboat, anyone who's a good worker, you put 2 guys in there like that, you're going to see those matches with the near falls, and you're sitting on the edge of your seat like, oh man, it's almost over, man, but I don't know who's gonna win. And then you hear the time limit going, and it ends, and they're gonna have to continue it next week, and then they do the same match over again. Just good stuff. Even for the Intercontinental Championship, you used to see it with Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. Those guys would have never had that opportunity if this match never stole the show. That's just my opinion on
it. I'd have to agree. They paved the way. And they set the tone, and as the guys got smaller and more technically fundamental and fundamentally sound with their skills, it made it easier to enjoy. And you forgot that they weren't on steroids. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Fans, we have one more match left in our countdown. Next week we will reveal the final match before we get to WrestleMania. Hopefully Monday Night Raw gets better, and we see a big change and improvement in the product. I have to give a shout-out to Killer Kev, who's viewing in the chat. Kev, thank you very much. My boy from New York City. Appreciate you watching. Doc G, are you working on any products or projects that you want to put out there?
Look out for that striping single that's already in stores, and I'm shooting a video in a couple of weeks. You and I spoke. You can't be at the video shoot this time. I'm going to forgive you, but you better make the next one.
I appreciate you.
And I will never forgive you for stealing Rex Ryan from my Jets. I hate you for that.
Hey, it's nothing personal, man. Hopefully my Bills can make the playoffs so that we can end this 16-year drought that's able to drive a car. So Go Bills. And folks, I have to thank you, the fans. Thank you for watching like you guys do every week. I greatly appreciate it. Please make sure you like the video, share it on social media, all platforms. We have a Facebook group, which is in the description box on YouTube. Please go to it. I'm going to start calling it the EPW show, EPW podcast. Guys, I have a tremendous group of people in there sharing wrestling, talking wrestling, MMA, whatever you guys want. Put it in there. It's a great community, great group of guys. So join the group if you haven't, and invite your friends too. Folks, this is episode 11 of Everything Pro Wrestling. We appreciate the time. We are out.
Nice.